Welcome back for another episode of the Unofficial Titans podcast right here on Sobros Network. I am your host of the show, the EIC at SobrosNetwork.com, Big Natural Stoney Keeley. You can follow me on Twitter at Stoney Keeley. Follow us collectively at Titans Pod on Twitter and at Sobros Network on all major social media platforms. Joined by a very special guest tonight. I think this is a draft prospect that every Titans fan should be paying attention to, the versatile offensive lineman out of UT-Chattanooga, Cole Strange. Cole, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Man, I greatly appreciate your time on this. I've been watching a lot of your work, and I think you're the perfect fit for the Tennessee Titans. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, because I'm just a dickhead with a microphone. I don't have any control over these sorts of things. But I'm watching your game and I'm thinking that looks like the quintessential Titan to me. Coming out of Farragut High School, Knoxville, Tennessee, to UT-Chattanooga, now NFL draft prospect. You're coming off of a hell of a week at the Senior Bowl a couple of weeks ago down in Mobile. We're ahead of the NFL Scouting Combine, which I saw that you got the invite to as well. My man, you are all over the place. What is life like for Cole Strange right now?
Honestly, it is going very, very well. I feel really blessed. Everything's going great. The Senior Bowl was a blast. Honestly, I enjoyed it. It did go well. And as far as, being able to compete against guys of that talent and talk to NFL, scouts and in some situations like general managers and even coaches, it was all very helpful. But honestly, I just enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Man, I got to hit you with the big J journalism up front. Okay. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least ask you this. You can stonewall me if you want to, like I'm a big D tackle coming at you or something like that. Which NFL teams did you meet with at the Senior Bowl, and who did you spend the most time with?
So I actually met with every single team in the NFL. We met with all 32 teams. And as much as I'd like to sit here and make it like every team wanted to come to me, that maybe that's the case, but that's not how it went down. What happened was we had Monday night and Thursday night of the week were slotted like from 6:30 or 7 until like whenever it ended. And most nights it ended around midnight. What we do is we'd have 15-minute interviews with each team. And on Monday, we went through half the league. And on Thursday, we went through the other half. So 16 teams each night. And everybody got to talk with every team.
Man, that's like speed dating for the NFL kind of deal.
Yes,
that's
it is.
Crazy stuff. So people automatically see UTC and they say small school, quote unquote, small school, right? I think people are sleeping on the level of talent that this program has put into the NFL, specifically in the past decade, man. Obviously, the big name that everybody remembers, Terrell Owens, but there's a long list of UTC guys that have made it to the league and lasted in the league. And if you look specifically at the Titans, who we cover here, that pipeline has been pretty strong. Guys like Corey Levin, Isaiah Mack, Kareem Orr, CJ Board spent time with the Titans, and then the free agent addition, Buster Screen, who was kind of a late season hero for this team, played at UTC. What has that program meant to you, and what is it like being a Chattanooga Moccasin?
I mean, I love it. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. It's no secret that we weren't successful as far as our team goes, and there is almost nothing that pisses me off more than that, because that's all I wanted to do is just to win. Because whenever I got there, Chattanooga had just come off of 3 conference championships. There was a point where I was a senior in high school watching, Chattanooga games, and we were ranked like number 3 in the country in FCS. And so I was fired up to come to Chattanooga and to win football. And, the year that I redshirted, which I don't really count from my, I was on the team and they were my boys, but like I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? So it was like they went into the playoffs and they lost in the second round. And then from after that year on, like I didn't make it to the playoffs a single time, so like there's no satisfaction in me about like the career that I had, but the people that I met and everything about the place, I love. It's just a matter we needed to put it together and we didn't.
Man, what was that recruiting process like going from Farragut to UT-Chattanooga?
So Chattanooga was actually my very first offer.
Oh, really?
In high school, Will Healy, who was the wide receivers coach at the time, now he's at UNC Charlotte. He was the one recruiting me, and then he actually moved. He went to be the head coach of Austin Peay, and then the tight ends coach at the time, Chris Harr, became my recruiter. But I went down there and I did an unofficial visit, which is like I just came to a game, and because it's like an hour and a half away from Knoxville, and I loved it. The area was cool. And then in the spring, or I guess it was technically still a winter, I came down and did an official visit where they showed us around the school, took us to dinner, met all the coaches officially, and I loved it even more. It's kind of a weird blimp in time is that I also was really, really into the Air Force Academy. I
Yeah.
technically, yeah, I don't know if I technically signed with Air Force Academy. I never ended up going there because I kind of talked to my family and came to the realization is like, if you go to the Air Force Academy, I was going to be a prep school guy. And so that's 5 years. And each year you get to be home back in Knoxville for me, like a couple weeks out of the year, and like at that time, I just wasn't ready to be away from home for so long. But I called back. UTC still had a spot for me. Coach Huseman did. And I came back and never looked back. Honestly, I never thought about transferring. I enjoyed it.
Man, the rest, as they say, is history. So
Yeah.
one of the things I love about like draft Twitter and the scouting community in general is that 5 different people can sit down and watch the tape and come away with like 5 different takeaways. So like I watch your tape and I see a versatile offensive lineman can play multiple positions, a finisher, someone with a hell of a punch, always out in front of the play, looking to get to the second level and just looking for somebody to block. But how would you describe your game in your own words?
Honestly, I like how you described it.
All right. Well, hey, easy enough.
I like what you said. Yeah. I try to play physical. I try to play mean.
So you played a lot of guard, a little bit of tackle at UTC. How did you end up playing center at the Senior Bowl?
So I actually also played center as well in 2019. At the end of the year, the second to last game of the season, our center blew his knee out, and I was kind of a last resort thing. So we jumbled up the offensive line, and I moved to center. But at the Senior Bowl, I honestly don't know. when I showed up, we went in and had meetings. The Jets staff was the coach staff that we worked with, and Coach Moreland just had he said it wasn't a depth chart, but it looked just like a depth chart. It was just kind of where everybody was going to play, and my name was at center. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
There we go. Off to the races.
Absolutely.
So where do you see yourself playing in the NFL? And is that something that teams, scouts are being upfront with you in terms of where they picture you playing in the NFL?
Yeah, they are, because they ask me that, and it kind of confuses me because I tell them I don't really care. I'm comfortable at guard just because I played there the most, but I will play center. I'll play tackle. Like hell, I can drop a few pounds and catch the ball, so put me in tight end too.
I like it. I like that idea.
Yeah. Anytime I ask them, they kind of tell me what they think and what that club's opinion of where I would end up is. And from what I hear, more times than not, it's center.
Man, I that was one of the things I was going to ask you later on. Like you played defense in high school. You could
Yes, sir.
play some tight end. You even told Mike Keith in an interview, Mike Keith of the Titans at the Senior Bowl, you'll get back there and throw the ball if you have to. Are you like openly advertising this to teams? Like, you know what, if we get into an emergency situation on the D line, or you need somebody to go back there and throw a pass, I'm your guy. Like I'm just a football player.
Hell yes. Hell
There you
yes.
go.
Anywhere on the field.
So I'm going to spare you the level of competition questions because I know that's a big talking point for folks when they're talking about you and UT-Chattanooga. And I've heard you say in several interviews that you absolutely felt like you belonged with the elite level talent at the Senior Bowl, and rightfully so. But in some ways, do you feel like a strong week down in Mobile maybe validated you in the eyes of the larger scouting community? Like, maybe everyone else is starting to see what you see in yourself?
Yes, sir. I think that's a really good way to put it too. Is like I believed in myself for a while, but I think that, like you said, there FCS competition. Like in some circumstances, people are right in that it's not even close to FBS, but there are a lot of really talented guys from there. So I think in a lot of people's eyes, it did solidify it, and I think it was probably a bigger week for me being able to play against those guys than it was for someone who played at a bigger school. And so like they play against that all the time. And so scouts, there wasn't that question for scouts.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about handling adversity a little bit, because one of the one-on-one reps, all the short clips that were going viral on Twitter, You get beat by a guy, Imperian Winfrey, who had a hell of a week in his own right down at the Senior Bowl, but then you get right back and recover. You put together some quality reps against Winfrey. What is your thought process like in that moment when maybe things aren't going according to game plan, or maybe not going the way you want them to? And how do you mentally recover from something like that to get things right in that moment?
I think it's kind of a case by case basis. With him, uh, if I remember correctly, he beat me because he kind of swiped my hand down and then like kind of he did a move where he like kind of got around me, and I did something similar too with a couple of other guys. I kind of just thought to myself like, I don't know, how exactly can I beat him? And I thought, I know he's a bigger guy, but I just knew for a fact like if I could get my hands on him, it'd be over.
Yeah.
And that's back to him. It's just like, I'm just in a good position to do that. Like if I could snap it and get my hand on him, then I'd be good. And so I just tried to kind of jump him a little bit. There was another play which I'm working with. I'm working with Josh Sitton here in Pensacola. He's like our O line coach, and he watched a bunch of practices. And one time he's like had it on his TV and he's like filming it with his phone and sent it to me. And I was at center and I gave a flash hand, and he's like not a fan of the flash hand at center,
Dang.
but it did work. There was this play because this fella, I don't know his name, but the dude from UCLA, he had bulled me a time or two, and I had jumped more than enough people to where I could tell that was like what they thought I was going to do. And that is normally what I like to do, just because I like to get in there and get my hands on them. But I don't know what it was about him, but I just knew like he was going to think I was going to jump. And so I just like snapped the ball and like gave him a little flash, and he thought I was going to put everything into it, because a lot of the times I do. And he did like a double hand swap, and I got my hands on him, and it worked. But Josh was like, probably not the best idea for me.
I love that answer, man. John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, draft this man. Draft this man. I don't know how clear I have to be.
Yeah.
A couple more things that I want to talk about with you, and then I'll give you your evening back. I want to talk to you about your banner photo on Twitter. At Cole Strange 2 is the account. It's ruthless, man. You are just pancaking number 10 from, I think that's Western Kentucky. You're on top of the guy like he owes you money. What did this poor soul do to you to deserve being posterized like that on Twitter forever?
It's kind of funny that you asked that, because when I started Twitter, I'm kind of new to social media. I don't really like having it. I kind of like to be off of that stuff. But, and then one of my good friends at UTC, both of them were kind of hounding me like, it'll help you if you can get your name out there a little bit. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I got a Twitter. And, whenever you get one, it's like you got to personalize and all this ridiculousness. And it was asking for pictures. I was like, well, I'm only getting this for football.
Yeah.
Like I would never get this just to have a Twitter. I don't want it. So it's like the only reason I'm getting this is for like to put my name out there for football. And I don't even like talking about myself, and the whole idea of like, bringing yourself up like you're better than everyone. I disagree with, but that's just what this is, So it's like, unfortunately, you got to do it. And so I was like, let me look for football pictures. And I was just kind of scrolling through, each game. Every team has like a photographer, and they take pictures of everybody. And I was scrolling through photos of like some of the games, and I saw that one. I was like, I like this. I was like, hell yeah. So I'm honestly more fired up about the profile picture, which is one I took recently, is down here in Exos, Pensacola. Marcus Luttrell came by and like worked out with us for a week, and I took a picture with him.
That's insane. Yeah. So you're hanging out with well, I can't say movie stars. It's not like, Mark Wahlberg was down there, but the figure that the story was based off of,
Someone cooler than Mark Wahlberg.
What's that?
I said someone cooler than Mark Wahlberg.
Someone cooler, the real life Mark Wahlberg, if you will. Let's talk about life outside of football a little bit before we wrap up here, Cole. What do you like to do when you're away from the game?
Just like in my free time and whatnot.
Yeah. Or are you ever away from the game?
Because I had that question. I don't feel like I am too much. Like, I don't feel like I get to do too much stuff, but whenever I am, especially if I've got like a string of days where I'm free, I always love going home. Being with my family back in, it's technically I live in Loner City, but it's, Knoxville area.
Yeah.
Going back there, my sister's young, so she's still in the house. My brother, he'll go back there a lot of the times too. So I'll be able to see everybody. and I like going back there. Sometimes we'll go, hiking or something like that. Sometimes we'll just hang out at the house. But I like reading. Kind of nerdy, but I've gotten more into reading lately.
Man, I'm right there with you. What are you reading right now?
So right now, I'm actually on the Return of the King, Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
got to say the extra step in nerdiness, but I've been reading. I actually my brother got me one of those fancy Kindle rigs for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got that. So you can look up any book, and a ton of them are just on there for free because he's got Amazon Prime. So I just bum it off of him. And I looked up this other one because I was looking for something a little bit more difficult. And I got this book called The Passions of the Soul by Rene Descartes. Just trying that out.
Jotting down some book recommendations in the middle of an interview. Don't mind me. Yeah. Last question then. What is your, going back to your UTC days, what's your favorite spot to eat at in Chattanooga?
Man, that's tough. It really depends on the mood you're in.
For sure.
We've got this is kind of a fancy place. It's called Rodizio's. It's like one of those Brazilian steakhouses.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one in Knoxville. It's one that's just like it, but it's called Brazirio's. But honestly, I like the Rodizio's version better. The food's just better, in my opinion. And this is a place that we went a couple of times. Me and like some of the boys in the offensive line, we'd have like O-line dinner every week, and they were not a fan of it, but it was right down my alley. It's called Bee's Cafe, and it's just Lazy Susan, and they've got like fried chicken. And honestly, that's all you really need for me. But like they've got other stuff too, like beans, macaroni and cheese, and then they have like sweet tea and water. And I could just eat there all day.
Getting more travel recommendations. My next visit to Chattanooga. I'm a brew house guy. Like they closed down our German spot here in Nashville, so I love going down to brew house, getting some stroganoff, getting a few beers, and then I've had my fair share of midnight meals at the City Cafe Diner too, just gorging myself.
Have you been to City Cafe?
Oh yeah, I love City Cafe.
That's another one.
I've been for every meal at the City Cafe, including like the 2:00 meal. Like somebody needs to put me to bed kind of meal.
Yeah. Wait, is that a chain? Is there one of them in Nashville?
No, it's just the two in Chattanooga, but we're,
okay.
Yeah, we try to make it every time that we go down there. And especially like if I go down there with the boys, my fiance, she's not so much into it. Like she got one look and was like, I don't know if I can handle all this right now. But me and the boys go down. It's no holds barred, man. I'm gonna be hurting for a week after that.
And it's a lot of food too.
It is
full plate. It's awesome. I love City Cafe. That's another good one.
So we came here to talk football, and we end up reminiscing about the City Cafe Diner. Cole, I appreciate your time, man. This has been a lot of fun. Doors always open if there's anything that Sobros Network can do to help you out. Is there anything that you want to shout out before we get off here?
I mean, I appreciate it. As far as shout outs, I don't know. I guess I've never done that, but anyone who knows me, howdy. Thank you for the time.
I like it.
Love to see.
All right, man. That's at Cole Strange 2 on Twitter, but he's just there for football, folks. Just there for football. Cole, we wish you nothing but the best, man. Like I said, want to see you in two-tone blue, but we'll be happy to see you go high anywhere you go. Appreciate your time, and take care, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.